Okay, I'm super excited for our next guest. He's a writer, he's a stunt man, he's an actor, stunt coordinator, pound for pound, my money. He is the greatest person ever to wear an iconic hockey mask in theatrical history. He's Ken Kirzinger. Ken, how you doing today?
Hey, great man. Good to be here.
But yeah, thanks for taking some time out of your day and sitting down.
Yeah, no
Um,
worries.
I don't think a lot of people know that you actually started in the business as a stuntman. So could you kind of walk us through how you got your footing in the industry and maybe some of the doors it's opened up for you over the years?
Yeah, I in talking to other stunt people, I found out that a lot of them got it in their heads at a very young age that they wanted to be stuntmen. And I was like 12 years old when I read an article about Hal Needham. He's a very famous stunt guy. He's the he's the character Brad Pitt was based on in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I read an article about him when I was very young and sort of stuck that in my head. I was playing college football and I wrecked my knee. And I thought, okay, now's a good time to look into getting into stunt work. So my sister was living in Los Angeles. I went down to visit her. Turns out her next door neighbor was the property master on Fall Guy, the TV series.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
And he gave me the number of one of the stunt guys on the show, and he gave me the phone number of another guy here in Vancouver, John Wardlow, and I called him. And about 3 weeks later, I was working on my first movie, Superman 3, in Alberta.
That's crazy.
So just things came together, and it was meant to be.
Yeah, I think a lot of people they have this false notion that because you guys are professionals or you have so many fail safes in place that all the stunts you guys are doing on film is without peril. But how dangerous can it really get on set with some of these stunts?
Well, you know what? Because of these big blockbusters and even the TV series, the superhero TV series and stuff like that, you've got a lot of ratchets. And ratchets are where they hook a cable to the stunt person and they hook that to a compression arm and it yanks them across the room or over vehicles. And the landings can be pretty hard. So there's a lot of injuries among stunt people and specifically injuries that add up. It might not be that one time you get hurt. You get hurt a little, but then you do it, 10, 20, 50 times. And it's like getting car whiplash over and over and over again. And, we've still had our deadly accidents. There was a terrible accident on Deadpool where the stunt girl was killed on a motorcycle. And there was so accidents happen. It is still a very dangerous business. And because of all the product that's being, because of streaming and all that, there's more movies being made than ever. So more stunts than ever. And the industry keeps growing with new people who are more specializing in what they do. You've got the people who specialize in the martial arts and the cable fighting, and then you've got people who maybe specialize in driving and fires and doing fire gags and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different than in my day where we were expected to be able to do a little bit of everything. I mean, we might not have been on the best at everything, but you had one or two things that maybe you were known for, and then you could go ahead and still do other stunts. So it's if you do stunt work, you will get injured. It's like playing professional sports. The injury rate is 100%. So
Was there any stunts that maybe somebody asked you to do you didn't feel comfortable with, or you didn't feel you had the background to perform?
yeah, there was one, and one of my good friends is Brad Laree, and he played Michael Myers in one of the Halloween movies. And I've known him since he got in the business and stuff like that. Anyway, I got a phone call from a friend of mine. He says, I want you to double this or play this monster character, and he has to jump out. It was a second or third story window, and so I said, sure, let's go have a look at it. So I drove out to the location, and it wasn't just jumping out a third story window. It was clearing a concrete balcony that was on the outside of the building. Now, people think when you run through a glass door or something like that, it doesn't slow you down, or it doesn't slow you down much. And it can slow you down a lot, especially if we call them poppers, squibs. They hit the glass or blow the glass just before you hit it. If they're a little late or something like that, you can get stalled and drop straight down to the to the concrete deck.
Mhm.
So the important thing is just to know that you can clear the distance from the window past the concrete railing by a reasonable amount, so that you know you can clear the distance, and then hope that the squibs go off, the poppers go off on time, and you don't hit that concrete railing. So I got out there ahead of my friend who was coordinating, JJ McEnroe, and I paced off the distance. Now I've had 5 surgeries on my left knee and 3 on my right and stuff, and so my knees weren't in the best of shape back then, and I'm trying to clear the distance, and I'm not making it. So I called him up and I just said, listen, I'm calling Brad. Brad's a little bit smaller than me, but I said, I'm calling Brad. I'm going to bring him out here. I knew Brad had a good set of legs. He played hockey, and he was playing hockey at the time. And so that's the only stunt I backed out of and turned down. It was just, I just didn't think I was going to make it past that concrete railing. So, I think it was a smart thing to do.
What kind of movies did you gravitate to when you were growing up?
You know what? I loved horror, and I sort of grew into loving sci-fi. But I mean, one of the movie Jaws really jumps out in my head. Is it stuck with me for life. I saw it in the theaters, and funny story about that. A friend of mine was working with Steven Spielberg on one of the Indiana Jones movies, and we happened to be talking on the phone, and she told me that Spielberg was standing beside her, and I told him, you tell that son of a bitch he ruined me for life because of Jaws. And I think he grabbed the phone and said, sorry, and back.
No, it's still one of the scariest movies ever. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, so you get introduced to audiences with the Friday the 13th franchise. In 1989, Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason throws you, the bar cook, across the window 20 feet. Awesome stunt. How do you, 14 years later, come to play actually Jason in the movies, in Freddy vs. Jason?
Well, it was pretty cool. Actually, so the first phone call I got for the stunt coordinator, because I was the stunt coordinator, the fry cook, the stunt double for Kane, and the stunt coordinator. So the first phone call I got from Randy Sheldon, who's the production manager on the show, was, hey, Ken, do you want to play Jason and be the stunt coordinator on Jason Takes Manhattan? And I didn't, it didn't register to me. It was just another job, So by the time I got another message from him, it was, hey, Ken, we don't need you to play Jason, but do you want to coordinate it? And I said sure. So and then I threw myself that the job as the fry cook for a little bonus check.
So in Freddy vs. Jason, you're playing a character like Jason Voorhees, not using any words to evoke, fear in the audience. What did you really want to get out of your screen time when playing a character like Jason?
Sorry, what did I want to get out of what?
How did you want to scare the audience? What did you want to bring to the character of Jason without using your words?
Right. Well, so much of how we communicate as human beings is physical. It's not just words. You can tell by the expression on a person's face, and body posture was what I had to rely on a lot as Jason, because really the only thing you can see is one eye. The other eye was actually fake and glued to the mask, so I was only seeing out one eye. But by moving your body in the right way, if you're being aggressive, you lean forward. If you're fearful, you lean back. We all instinctively know that. So once you get the costume on, it's really interesting. It takes on a life of its own. It's almost magical, and I've had that happen with several times over the years when I played a werewolf, and I was in this really elaborate werewolf suit, and it puts you in the werewolf posture, and you take on that character, so using the costume, using body language. Jason in this movie was a much more sympathetic Jason than the other Jasons, and shows a vulnerability, which is a huge dispute when people watch the movie. It's like, Jason's not afraid of water. And, maybe I'm going to let the fans decide, which way they want to go on that, but it was, in my mind, it was Freddy reaching into Jason's mind all the way back to his childhood when he drowned, and, seizing on that fear and bringing it to the surface. where it wasn't normally within Jason's psyche, normally. So, Jason had to play fear for the first time in a movie. And that took a lot of body shaking. I remember Ronnie Yu behind the hand, shake harder, shake harder.
No, you got Ronnie. I mean, he's a veteran in this industry, especially doing Bride of Chucky, I think 5 years before that. How much leeway did he give you with the character? Did he give you notes? And then how much did he just let you on screen cook?
Ronnie was a huge influence in the Jason you saw on screen. We talked about body movement and what he wanted to see, because he had a very clear picture in his mind. I mean, that's one of the things I really like in a director, is somebody who has a clear vision. And so he saw how he wanted Jason to move, and that he wanted Jason to move slowly until he did something, and that accentuates the movement. And so he had a big influence on how I moved and how I did things.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I remember coming out of the theaters with my friends. The movie was a critical hit. I think it was #1 at the box office for 2 weeks. Did they ever approach you about a sequel?
Oh yeah, I mean, as soon as the movie came out and it was a hit, they talked to Robert and I and Ronnie Yu about let's get the team together again and let's do this. And of course, they wanted to do Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. That was what they were working on, and it never happened. They couldn't get the rights, and it just people are still craving to see that movie. And of course, they brought out the comic book, which really helped. But no, they were keen to do another one right off the bat.
Yeah, we missed out.
Yeah, well, one day maybe they'll get around to it. Huh?
Yeah, no, I mean, you've been a part of some of my favorite horror franchises. Certainly underrated. You played Paw in Wrong Turn. You played in the franchise Rusty Nail and Joyride. So over the years and being on so many sets, was there ever a veteran, maybe actor or actress, that imparted some wisdom on you that stayed with you all these years?
So just things jump to mind. I remember I was doing a scene one time playing a heavy, and I can't remember the name of the actor's name, but I was doing the scene with my hands in my pockets, and I was wearing a suit, and he came up to me, he goes, don't do that, don't do that, it looks like you're playing with yourself. But really experienced actors, actors that I've worked with over the years, you can learn things just by watching them. And certainly they've given me help and pointers, because as a stunt performer, they knew me as a stunt performer, right? So they weren't afraid to come up to me and give me pointers or hints or thoughts on how they would play it. And all that, working with top directors and actors, it all helps. It's like playing tennis against somebody that's better than you. You can't help but improve.
Right. So what have you been up to lately? I know COVID kind of shut down some of the conventions, and I know last time we talked, you were talking about your writing.
Yeah, no, I've been working on some scripts and enjoying the time off. I've got to fortunately have a brother with a nice big yacht, and we go out on that. Now he's bought a little fishing boat, and thanks, Dave. And so been boating and doing some other traveling, and yeah, I mean, it's the time of life to get out and see the world. And now that we can travel again, I'm looking forward to getting on the road.
That's awesome, man. No, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to sit down with us and
Oh,
setting these interviews up. You couldn't have been nicer and cooler to talk to, so I really appreciate it.
and my pleasure, and I wish you all the luck with your show.
Thank you very much, and same with your screenplays.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ken.
Take care. All right.